Hello there, crafty friends. It's Marie here again for Tonic Studios, and I'm going to be making a card today using the Stamp Club stamp and die set for the month of December. Are we already in December? Anyway, I'm going to be using the stamp and die set for the Stamp Club for this month, and I just thought I'd let you see what is in the Stamp Club this month and how you can put it together and make a fun card. So let's make something. So here is the die and the stamp set. I've got all of these stamps colored and cut out, and I just have them layered here on top of the stamp set so you can get a little look at all the fun images in this Stamp Club for this month. So we have all of these fun camping images. We've got a little tent, or there's two little tents, a little cabin and a trailer. You've got some wood stumps there and some trees and some little critters and all the little accessories that you can build a fun scene with. Now, along with the stamp set, you get the dies, which coordinate with the stamps so that you can color them and cut them out, which I've done here. But you also have some dies that are kind of more of a standalone die, so you can use them by themselves. So you've got one here that will cut out sort of a log or a tree trunk. You've got a canoe here with a little oar, which I think is really cute. And you've got some mountains here and a border die that will cut out sort of a watery border, so you can make a lake or a pond or an ocean, whatever you want to do. There's also some of these trees and a waterfall, some rocks and some clouds, so you can go ahead and make a whole scene with these stamps and dies. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to make a scene on a card. I've got a few of my pieces prepped already so that this will go quickly, but it gives you a great look at the Stamp Club this month and what you can do with it. So I like to go ahead and stamp out a lot of my images and cut them out, and then I put them in some of these little glass dishes here so that I can use all of these images as I'm crafting. And if I have a ton of them stamped out and ready to go, I can just color them and slap them on a card and make multiple cards at once. So I always love to do some of that prep work ahead of time. And if I'm done making cards and I have some left over, I usually just tuck it in the pocket with the stamp and die set, and they're there the next time I pull out this set, ready to go, ready to color and put on another card. So don't throw away any of your die cuts that you didn't use. So I'm going to set these to the side. And before we get started on our first card, I thought I'd give you a look at a card that I've already made. Now this one, I've done a little bit of ink blending to make a sunset, and I've just cut out some of those trees and that mountain to make sort of a silhouette look on the background. I think it's really fun and really pretty, and it was super easy. So that was one that you can do with this set for this month. Now here is what I'm already working on. We're going to put this card together, and right now it looks like a little bit of a mess because all of my pieces are all over the place. But you can see I've cut out that canoe and that oar. I'm going to layer some wavy layers on the bottom to make it look like water, and layer some mountain layers in the background. So we're going to start this card working from back to front. Now I've already ink blended a sunset in the background. You can see I didn't bring it all the way to the bottom because you're not going to see the whole background. You're just going to see the top. And before we go ahead and add it to a card, I thought it would be fun to use one of the dies from the set. So I'm going to grab our dies over here. Now there's this one die in here that has a bunch of stars in it, and this is going to make a star cutout on your background or anywhere you want it to go. So I'm just going to tape this to my background and run it through my die cutting machine a few times to get some of those stars cut into our background. So let me go ahead and do a little bit of die cutting. Okay, so I've just run this through my die cutting machine multiple times, just randomly, so that it would cut out a lot of those star shapes in the background. So you can see here I've got all of these little stars cut out behind here. Now I think that would be really fun to layer a piece of glitter paper behind so that those stars are glittery. So we might do that. But if you have any pieces that are kind of hanging on, not coming out, you can just take a pick or a craft knife and just go ahead and poke those out. So I've got a few stars hanging on here that didn't want to come out on their own. I'm going to go ahead and poke those out, clean up that background a little bit, and then we have our fun starry sky in the background. So I've already showed you also that I've got some mountains cut out, and I'm going to layer these right over our background. So that's why I didn't go ahead and ink blend my whole background, because I'm not going to use it on my whole background. I'm just going to use a little bit and just cover the bottom part. So I don't need foam adhesive. Let's see, let's just use my liquid glue here. So I'm going to take some liquid glue and get it right along the edges, so I get a really nice, get it stuck down really well. And I want to think about how I'm going to layer these together. So I kind of want my mountains to look like that. So I'm just going to move this around a little bit. That liquid glue gives you a little bit of wiggle time so that you can move your pieces around before they dry and get completely stuck on your background. And then once that's all lined up, I'm just going to take my scissors and trim off the extra. What's up, girl? I left your juice on the counter. No, that's the only juice you can have. Otherwise, it's water. Nope, not right now. Okay, so I've got that starry sky in the background. I've got some of my mountains already adhered down. And I'm going to put my second layer right over there. And I'm actually going to adhere this layer with foam adhesive so that it pops up a little bit. So I'm going to take some of this foam adhesive and just add it to the back. Trim it. And then I'm going to layer this right on top of our first layer of mountains that we already have glued down. And these are going to pop this second layer up a little bit, so we get a little bit of dimension going on in our card. So I think I want it to go just about here. And just like we did with our first layer, I'm going to flip this over and just trim off the extras. Now these Tim Holtz scissors are super strong, so I can cut off the extra cardstock as well as it cuts right through that foam adhesive also. That's hanging off the edge there. They do stick a little bit. But if you get any sticky gunk on your scissors, I always just kind of clean them up, either with, warm water and dish soap, that works, or if you have some other kind of cleaner for your scissors, you can use that as well. So I've got my 2 layers of mountains here. It's looking like a really pretty starry night with the mountains in the background. And I've showed you on our die set, there's this waterfall here. And I've cut this waterfall out 3 times using 3 different shades of paper so that I can layer them on top of each other and get this really cool layered waterfall coming down off the mountains. So my darkest layers in the back, I've got this middle layer and the white layer, because if you ever see water fountains or waterfalls, they get some of that whitish foam on the bottom. So I thought that one would look good in the front. So I'm going to add this with liquid glue. Just add tiny little dots here and there. And then I'm going to stick it right over here. Make it look like it's coming out from behind these mountains. And I'm just going to layer each layer on top of that. I'm just slightly offsetting my each layer as I'm gluing them down, so that it really gives you a little bit more of a dimensional look. I think it's looking really cool. Okay, I just remembered that I also wanted to put a layer of water behind my waterfall, so I'm just popping up this bottom layer before it completely dries so I can get this piece underneath. So this piece is just some more blue cardstock that I cut with this wavy border die, and it cuts out that wavy border on your cardstock so you can add it to make it look like water. So I'm going to add some liquid glue on this one and glue this down because I want this to be behind my waterfall. Just line it up with the bottom of my card and glue it down. So we're actually doing a lot of layering here with our cardstock and cutting lots of layers with these dies, which is so much fun. And trim off the extras on each side. There we go. Throw those pieces away. And our card is really starting to come together. I love that purple sky in the background with those dark mountains in front of it. Next, I do want to put a layer of vellum in front of this other piece of water that we've already put down. Now, vellum can be a little tricky because you can kind of see some of that adhesive behind your vellum. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually put a few drops of glue around the corners, not around the whole back piece of my vellum. I'm just going to kind of stagger those waves a bit with the waves that we already put down. I'm going to let that glue dry by adding just a few drops of glue around the border. It's not going to be as noticeable if I put glue on the whole background. So we're just going to let that dry, and that's going to stick down really nicely. And again, go ahead and trim off all the extra. And this is a big enough piece that I will save for other cards. So we're getting lots of layers here on this card, and I love it. I am going to stick this down now because I think it's where I wanted it to go. Now I've got this little canoe, which I think is really fun. I was going to pop it up here right in between those two layers of water to make it look like it's kind of in the water going close to that waterfall. So I'm going to find my little foam squares and add some adhesive to that canoe. Now I cut this canoe out of just red cardstock, and then I used some of the Nuvo hybrid inks to ink blend a little bit of a darker color on the bottom. So I don't know if you can see that very well in the camera, but it adds a little bit of dimension to that die cut, a little bit of extra something so it doesn't look so flat using just one color of cardstock. All right, so I'm going to add this little canoe right in between these two wave layers with that foam adhesive. And then I'm going to put my oar, I'm going to add some glue to that and just stick it right on that canoe. Just going to hold it there for a second so that glue dries and it'll stay in place right where I want it to go. Now you can also glue down this part so that it doesn't get caught on anything when you put it in an envelope. I'm just going to leave it for now because I kind of like it sticking up. It gives it some more dimension. And I did think about putting one of our fun little critters in the canoe. So we've got this little squirrel here that you could put him in there. I think that's really cute. It looks like he's rowing his boat underneath that waterfall. But if you don't want to do that, you can also just kind of leave it as is. But he fits really well there. So I'm just going to stick him in. And also, I cut out all of these little rock pieces. And I thought that would be fun to kind of just layer right around our waterfall. So I'm going to get some foam adhesive and stick some of them down on foam. And then some of them I'm going to use my liquid glue with. Just layer them on. It looks like that waterfall is coming down the mountain, splashing onto the rocks. Now with these rocks, I did cut it out of some gray cardstock, and then I took some gray hybrid ink and did a little ink blending on them too. You can't tell too much, but it gives it a few different colors going on. So I do like to add a little bit of ink blending to my die cuts when I'm crafting. All right, I think that looks so super cute. I love our little squirrel in the canoe there, just taking a trip at nighttime or rowing out in the lake maybe. So I think that's really cute. Now, there's so many other things that you could do with this. You could take some Nuvo drops and add some snow to the top of those mountains. You can do some glitter cardstock behind those stars. I might see if I can try to grab a piece of glitter cardstock to layer behind there. I've got tons of different colors of glitter cardstock from Nuvo, so you could use gold, or I could use different colors like the blue or silver. That one would look fun. Get some silvery stars going. Or I could layer a different color of purple behind there. Some lighter purple stars in the sky. Lots of different colors. I think I like the silver though. Let's go with the silver and layer some silver behind it. So I'm going to take my little 8.5 by 11 guillotine trimmer, because this one is always sitting on my desk. It's such a great size for cards. It's got everything laid out here, all the measurements you need for card making, and the blade always cuts really cleanly, and it gives me a great cut, even with glitter cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece that will layer behind my stars. I'm going to cut it down just a tad bit smaller so I don't get any of those sides peeking out from behind my scene. So I'm just taking about 1/4 inch off of each end. That's going to help it fit just a tad bit better. I'm loving that. So before I go ahead and finish that, I got to put the glue on the background. So I'm going to put glue all around these stars here. And I always feel like liquid glue works a little bit better for that glitter cardstock because it is so glittery. There's a lot of grooves going on there and it doesn't stick as well to that just like tape adhesive. So the glue can really kind of sink in between those cracks of the glitter and dry and give it a better hold. So I tend to use liquid glue more often when I'm using my glitter cardstock. I want to make sure I can see all of those glittery stars up in the sky. And there it is. We made a super cute little scene. All that's left is I would stamp and emboss probably a sentiment to stick on front, and that finishes my card. So thanks so much for joining us here at Tonic Studios. I hope you liked a look at the stamp and die set for the Stamp Club this month. And maybe you got a few ideas on how you want to use these stamps and dies in your own crafting. Now, if you do use these and you post it on social media, make sure you tag us because we always love to see what you're up to and what you're creating. And don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and tap the bell for notifications so you never miss another Tonic video from us, and we will see you guys next time. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.